If everyone can have the Force, then no one has it. A good that almost everyone owns does not have the same value as something that is rare and special. First of all, I would like to say that I really like the character Sabine Wren from Rebels, and also from Ahsoka. Taya Sircar's portrayal of Sabine was a little wooden here and there, but overall solid. Unfortunately, Sabine's emotional traits from Rebels somehow didn't make it into the new Disney series, so the new Sabine comes across as cold and jaded at times. However, this can definitely be explained by the fact that, between Rebels and Ahsoka, she lost her entire family that was still on Mandalore. At the same time, she saw that while the Empire was defeated, many Imperials survived, and the veterans of the rebellion did not receive the respect they probably thought they deserved. She still seems to be on friendly terms with most of her friends from Rebels, but doesn't maintain any serious or frequent contact. She lives, at least that's what the new series establishes, in relative seclusion on Lothal. Now, in the Ahsoka series, Dave Filoni has decided to give a lot of spotlight to Wren, who has been shaped by the times, and who is sometimes internally injured. Aside from needlessly toning down the lethality of lightsabers, it was very interesting to see Sabine in the first few episodes visibly uncomfortable with taking on the role of a Jedi, something she clearly isn't. Her lightsaber skills are mediocre at best, as are her Force powers. She seems, as the series establishes quite early on, to be weak in the Force. So weak that in fights she reverts to her more natural role as a Mandalorian, who has to use blasters, gadgets, and the hand-to-hand combat techniques she has learned to gain every possible advantage against Force users. This actually makes Sabine a flawed character. That is a character with rough edges, a person that could also exist in real life. Sabine is not a Jedi hero, and at least in the beginning, it seems clear that she will never be one, and perhaps doesn't want to be one. Not only that, she struggles with the role of Ahsoka Tano's Padawan. She was trained by them and is further instructed over the course of the series, but Sabine is not very convinced of her own talent, and falls back on learned patterns, her Mandalorian training. But instead of developing Sabine Wren's character on this level, Disney and Filoni decided to turn her into an extremely powerful Force user at the snap of her fingers, who suddenly unlocks abilities that other Jedi and Sith have to train for years for. It may be that by liberally interpreting her performances in Rebels, one might get the idea that she was always extremely talented. But the problem with such storylines is that they take a lot of the drama and difficulty out of a story. Her enemies will now be even less dangerous for her, and she will soon be able to keep up with other Jedi. She will be able to stand up to Dark Jedi and Sith in battle. I think that's a shame. Because as a Mandalorian looking for her own path, I liked her much better. Unfortunately, in the end, you feel uncomfortably reminded of Rey, who suddenly became a strong Force user without practice, training, and major hurdles. At first I assumed that Dave Filoni was probably cleverly trying to tell the story of a normal person, a woman who doesn't have Force powers, even though she has the power within her like any living being. But ultimately, she is just a normal woman who has to assert herself in the galaxy against much stronger and more dangerous opponents through courage, skill, and a strong will. Her decision to go with Baylan Skoll after the supposed death of Ahsoka actually reinforces this impression. She is not a Jedi who supposedly only acts out of selflessness. She really wants to see Ezra, her old friend, again, and she is even prepared to accept that her master will not accompany her and will stay behind. At the moment, they obviously don't care about what the galaxy will face if Thrawn returns. You might criticize that, but you can definitely understand it on a human level. The consequences of Thrawn's return are very abstract, while the possible reunion with Ezra is very real and tangible, at least in Sabine's dreams. It would have been interesting to see how a non-Force-sensitive Sabine would have had to assert herself in the midst of Jedi, Sith, Dark Forces, and the like. How she might even have had to emancipate herself from Ahsoka and find her own way. She could have also shown the audience that you don't have to have a lightsaber and Force powers to be a good and interesting character and strong fighter. Because if in the end everyone is somehow Jedi or Sith or reinforced with the Force in some way, then that is nothing special anymore,